Welcome to the latest episode of this week's Acca, sponsored by Sky Bet Acca Freeze. And I'm Tom, joined by Jake and Jimmy to deliver our selections. The team are back after a midweek apart, and we'll be taking a look at the weekend's fixtures in the usual format as we aim to deliver an Acca around that 10-1 or above marker. Let us know your thoughts in the comments all through the Sporting Life Football social media channels. And remember, as ever, keep it fun. Never bet more than you can afford. Its podcast is 18+. Please gamble responsibly. We've had technical issues, okay? So we're kind of in the same room-ish, on the same floor, but we're having to do this over the internet. How is everyone? Jimmy, you managed to claim the studio space, so congratulations on that.
What a win. Yeah, I'm in the hot seat. I was just saying it's nice because you can actually get your legs under the desk, which is a luxury that I'm not used to.
It's a nice one. Jake, you're away. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, good to be back, and just pure chaos this morning. Studio's completely broken. This is the worst case scenario, isn't it? That we, at the very least, we still get a podcast out. We just can't look each other in the eye when we say that one or two selections are rubbish.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a bit of a virtual shouting at each other, aren't we? We mentioned about comments there, a few that we've had in recent episodes. On YouTube, there was one about other markets. When I was left all alone, I turned up on Monday thinking, oh, here we go, full team are in. Nobody was here, so I went for over 2.5 goals. We did mix it up a little bit. Ray Stevenson as well asked, and I wanted to chuck this out and try and surprise you a little bit. Jimmy, can you give us a team? He didn't say Jimmy, but I'll chuck it to you. Can you give us a team that's in a false position and will finish either 5 or 10 places higher or lower at the end of the season?
No.
Brilliant.
No,
Jake, anyone?
No, I've talked about... Hang on, that was just a joke, Jake. Just give me a minute.
Hey, Tom, threw it to me.
No, I'd say, I said it before and I'll say it again, Brentford, although they have, I'm just checking the table, they have jumped up a lot into the top half. So I withdraw Brentford. Back over to Jake.
Cheers for that, Jim. Literally nothing that you added there. A team that's in a false position... I think Middlesbrough still are in a false position. I think they'll probably, where are they, about 10th at the minute? I think they could finish 5 places higher than that into the playoffs. I think the Premier League, Man United are probably 5 places too high to where they should be, and where they could potentially finish. Go on, Jimmy, you were going to say something then. You were going to have to go back.
Yeah, the Championship's such a cop-out answer because have you seen the division? There's about 10 points from 21st to 8th.
It doesn't get more of a cop-out than, Brentford. Oh, actually, I've just looked at the table and Brentford, they're about right now. That's more of a cop-out. Is anyone on League 1, League 2 that we like?
Can we take literally and just say Wigan?
Yeah, well, that's the cheating answer, isn't it? That's a cheat code.
That's my get-out clause. Yeah. This one, I'm going to say Wigan, that they should be a lot higher. I think they should be sitting around 9th or 10th, to be brutally honest. Is that one on there? I'm wary of teams who don't have managers at the moment, particularly in League 2. Teams, I think the ones Grimsby are without a manager, teams who are down towards the end, and if they can get a right appointment, then suddenly you're onto a bit of a win. You can quickly pick up some points, and it's so tight towards the bottom, suddenly you're in the top half. So I would be looking at a team like Grimsby Town, managerless at the moment, who do have some potential maybe to push a bit.
Has Tom brought Grimsby up again?
Yeah.
Every single episode, Grimsby
teams like Colchester as well, teams that are managerless, that are down at the other end of the division. That then the ceiling is kind of to go higher, right? So I think they're probably the teams to look at. But to give you the short one, I will say Wigan Athletic. So
genius.
Yeah. I'd throw one more in Championship. I know there's not a lot of points between them, but Coventry at the minute, they're a team that sits 6th best on expected goal difference per game this season, but they're currently just above the drop zone. So they could be a team that, if they continue performing the way in which they are, they might, ascend the table and maybe grab a playoff spot like they did last year. But you never know.
They just can't do anything right, can they, Coventry at the minute? Well, they can do everything right, but pick up points. Bless them.
No, that is true. The last Acca then, before we move on to this one, the last Acca we were all together. If we're being honest, it's a bit of a false one, right? We were 1 goal off, but I mean, Ipswich did well to get a draw, right? But again, it's a goal off. That could have been another winner. We were quite close in that respect, if you take it for results value.
Yeah, it was close, wasn't it?
Discuss it.
And when they equalised in the 89th minute, I thought there's still some time here. You can just
Yeah.
imagine the mood at Birmingham when throwing a 2-0 lead away. Everything that happened before that, with Rooney getting all the stick from all the fans that we discussed on the pod as well, could have easily turned. And Ipswich, I wouldn't have been surprised to see them grab a winner. But yeah, it wasn't to be. But it was always going to be a tough fixture list with the FA Cup and stuff, so we did well to put a couple of decent FA Cup games in there. And I think some of the longer price selections as well went close or won for the people who like the singles. So yeah, it wasn't all bad. And like you said, we were close. We'll try and go one better this week.
On to this week then. Let's get straight into it. As we say there, we're looking around that 10-1 marker. We don't mind if it's 4 or 5 teams, depending on how it works out. Jim, Rod, you can go first this week. Pitch us a team that we're instantly. I don't want disagreements. I want one team that we're all universally going to be in agreement with, and then we can all just get on with our lives.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, Stockport at Swindon.
I've got
Yes.
Stockport Swindon. Yes, I saw you tweet about this earlier, actually, and I already had it on my list. What is that price all about?
Honestly, I'd like to put this out to anyone. What happened to Stockport's price over the night time? Overnight time.
Overnight.
Over the night time.
Night time.
Yeah, I got bath and bed early doors, and I've woke up and I don't know what's happened. I don't know if a big syndicate's put some money behind Swindon, but something happened to Stockport overnight. They drifted. I think they went out to 13-10. They're shortening. They're almost back down to evens now. You can get them 23-20 with Unibet, but something happened overnight, and I just can't work it out. I'll just quickly take you through all the spiel. They're the best side in the division, so props to Mickey Beardmore on tipping them to win the league. 6 points clear.
Has Punt already paid out on that bet?
Yeah. Yeah,
Props
she
to
backed it with-
Beardmore.
The
Take
league,
the winner. Well
the
done.
league is famously over in November, so I'm all for it.
I want
Yeah.
to get on Jim Bet if he's offering these kind of terms.
It's not Jim Bet, it's Punt's Punt.
Punt's Punt.
Punt's Punt.
Not-
So yeah, we paid out on
That's
Stockport.
catchy.
So congratulations if you backed us, back Stockport with us. They're 6 points clear, 11 wins, which is the most in the division. Best goal difference. Found something interesting. Barry and Alafe have got 20 goals between them. That's more than 6 teams in the 4th tier, which is unbelievable.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of goals, Duff, man. 12 wins, 13 unbeaten. And the price is great, obviously, although there has been that bit of funny business with the drifting and whatnot overnight. But the clincher for me is Swindon's form. I was sceptical how sustainable that hot streak would be because they had an unbelievable shot conversion rate earlier on in the season. And it's sort of coming into the form is regressing. The Robins have slipped down to 10th in the table, winless in 5, lost their last 4, and they've conceded 25 goals since September. Jake, babe, how are you? I'd like to remind you.
I'm good, pal.
I'd like to remind you that you did suggest them in the FA Cup round of fixtures, and I think they found themselves 7 goals down to Aldershot of the National League.
And it could have been 8. It was they had one ruled out for offside as well.
I think if you listen closely, Jim, or listen back, I actually tipped Swindon +8 on the handicap, so I was well covered.
It was roaring in the late winners just to cover the +4 that we had.
But no, in all
Weird game.
seriousness, that was not the best of selections or potential selections. I know we kind of briefly papered over it because we were quite happy with the 4 we got, but yeah, that was a bad one, and just kind of adds even more credence to the bet of taking Stockport. I think the price is just ridiculous. You know, you look at the underlying data as well, and that backs up everything you've kind of said there, Jim, with the conceding loads of goals. Swindon, they actually rank as the...
They said that. His happy little face.
the Swindon have got the 6th worst defence at home when it comes to expected goals. So they've conceded the 6th most expected goals per game at home. And Stockport are the 4th best defence when travelling. So, you know, Swindon's best asset is their attack, obviously, but they're coming up against one of the better defences when they're travelling. And the clincher for me was like Jim said, the price. If you take a look, like Stockport went off at 17-20 away at Crewe, who were a better team than Swindon, and they went off at 3-4 away at Accrington, who again are probably a slightly better team than Swindon at this point. So and they're both above them in the league. So the fact that we're getting, you know, odds against for this is, yeah, remarkable really. I had them down as the first pick in the draft, pretty much.
Yep, I have no issue. I have this down as well. Actually, this is the first game I had written down as well. I had Stockport to beat Swindon because of the price game. Should we just lock this in and move on?
Oh, yeah.
Jimrod has delivered straight on the first selection. Then selection 1 of this week's Acca, it comes from Sky Bet League 2. It's an away win for Stockport. We're backing them to beat Swindon. Prices of odds against on that selection. We'll discuss our next one next. So that game we were discussing there, then Swindon v Stockport. We're taking Stockport an away win at a nice odds against price there. Jake, I will let you open up section 2. Give us some potential picks. We've flown through that first one. I want more all in agreement here. Let's just get the first 4 on board and move on.
Okay. Jimmy's forgot how to spell on the chat. Brilliant. Yeah, the team that I like, and I think that you'll like, Duffman, is Cardiff at home to a beleaguered Norwich. Norwich's form is just, well, pants, to put it nicely. They've really struggled. It could be a case of last chance saloon for the gaffer as well, given the way things have trending.
I can't believe he's in charge for this game, by the way. I really like David Wagner from his time at Huddersfield in a previous job. I spoke to him quite a lot. I really like him. I can't believe, though, that it's got to this point. I thought it was nailed on after the Blackburn game. I'm so surprised that he's still going to be in charge for this game.
Yeah, it's mental. 8 defeats in the last 10 across all competitions, and the only win they've had in that time is against Birmingham. And we know Birmingham aren't the best team going, so the fact that, like you said, he's still in the job is a little bit of a surprise. And you know, the performances, the results have all been bad. They've won just 1, lost 4 of 7 away games this season. And digging into the data, they're actually the 4th worst travelling team in the entire league, which may come as a surprise. Only maybe not the bottom 3, not a surprise. Rotherham, QPR, and Sheffield Wednesday, the 3 worst travelling teams, but just above them and Norwich, in the sense of they're actually conceding the most expected goals against per away game than any team in the division. So it's a really poor travelling team against a Cardiff team who, you know, I'm not going to say too much, Tom, because I know you like banging the Cardiff at home drum, but they're bloody good at home.
Yep, that's it. Carry on.
Yeah, that was it.
That's it. Basically, we spoke so much in the past about Cardiff, their manager's home record. I'm just going to be repeating stuff that we've already said. But again, the most recent one was Bristol City at home. It's draw against Watford, but then wins over Rotherham, Coventry, Swansea, beat Sheffield Wednesday as well. A surprise defeat to QPR, in which really they probably should have won that game. So a really good home record. I'm all on board for this. This is 2 out of 2. Is Jimmy going to make it 3 out of 3 on this one?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant. That was nice and easy then. We've absolutely rattled through the first 2. We're in agreement then. We're going to take Cardiff to beat Norwich here. This is another odds against price.
Yep. I think the price is too long.
The double on Sky Bet currently is 3.2 to 1, and we've only had 2 selections.
Vamos.
This is a brilliant start to this. We're never usually in this agreement. Maybe it's because we're apart. We're not in the studio. We can just interrupt and go, no, you're wrong. Here we're kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, fine. We're apart, but this is it. I also, in the as Jimmy demanded there, I have a quiz question for you. And I usually answer it in the first, usually ask it to you in the first section. I thought, no, actually, let's hang on. Let's see if we can get some picks on the board first, and then we'll go for it.
You had an impatient punt, though, Tom.
Yeah, he really wants the quiz question. So we're going to take a quick little break from actually picking the Acca so I can ask you this. It's European week, of course. Champions League has been in action, as is the Europa League. And in similar pattern to one I've asked quite recently, I simply just want to tell you to tell me, who is the player to have scored the most goals in the Europa League or UEFA Cup / UEFA Cup, I should say. So both competitions, including qualifying.
Oh.
It's as simple as that. So who is the player to have scored the most goals in the Europa League and the UEFA Cup? Both iterations on that. The first clue I'll give you is he played 104 times for his country, scoring 37 goals, I believe it was. So there's a bit of a clue. He's a goal scorer and a pretty decent international level player as well. So I'll let you stew on that one. This week's Acca, so far, is a very straightforward one. We're all in agreement straight away. In Sky Bet League 2, we have Stockport for an away win at Swindon, and in Sky Bet Championship, we're taking Cardiff for a home win over Norwich. We will make our third pick after this short break.
One thing we've all got in common is having that one leg of an Acca let us down. From spending your winnings in your head to cursing that last-minute equaliser that broke your heart. But it doesn't have to be that way. Acca Freeze from Sky Bet gives you the power to freeze a winning score early. Even if that team goes on to lose, Sky Bet will settle it as a winner. It's time to take action. It's time to Acca freeze and end the game your way. Visit skybet.com for full terms and conditions.
So this is quite good because of those technical issues that we've had. We are doing this kind of remotely, but there is a chat function and I can see the guesses coming in. Usually I have it, someone writes it down on a laptop, you all show each other, and I don't get to see it. So currently I'm seeing live guesses and they're not too bad guesses. I will give it to both the two of you, our producer Dom as well, who are all getting involved. More importantly, this week's Acca then, as we said there, we've got Stockport to beat Swindon, we've got Cardiff to beat Norwich. Two of them were on my list, so I'm happy to kind of sit out again and chuck back to Jim Rod for a potential third one, as he didn't really contribute too much to that second section, so I want to hear your voice again. Is there going to be one that gives us a little bit of disagreement so far?
Duff, man, you little flirt. And you would be correct.
Here we go.
I've got one at 4-1.
Wow. Okay.
Ooh-wee. Barnsley, please, at Derby.
I like this, straight away.
Yes. I'm glad you do, Duff, man, because I thought I'd have a hard time selling this. It's a coupon booster, not a buster. And I can't, for the life of me, work out this price. And Jake, I can sense you're not going to like it. And before you fat shame it, can I just tell you why I like it? You've got the
mate.
best...
Take it away. I'm on board. I think that they are the value pick. It's just whether you want to put them in an Acca is the question. And
I think we do.
Single.
I think we do, and I think we should, because you've got the best side on the road in the division against. Yeah, they were the anti-post favourites for the title, but I don't think they've clicked into gear yet. They've only won back-to-back league games on one occasion this season, and I think they've only won one of their 5 games against sides above them in the league. They're currently 7th, and the only side above them yet to play is the Super Reds. So, and they've only won one of those games against the teams above them. Peterborough, they've lost all the other ones. Reds, on the other hand, they're unbeaten on the road in the league this season. There's a few draws in there, yes, but 17 points, 13 goals scored, 3 goals against, and they're also unbeaten in their last 6. You may say they've drawn their last 2 games, Horsham and Shrewsbury, I believe. I was at both of them. The Horsham one, 3-3. The 7th tier side scored with all 3 shots on target, and I think that tells you everything you need to know about that game. They also drew 2-2 with Shrewsbury, and Shrewsbury scored a worldie free kick. It was a lovely strike, and the other goal, the opener, came via a huge slice of fortune. There was a massive deflection and before it wound up at the feet of the goal scorer, who had a simple task, a tap in home. But price-wise, which is the most important thing in betting, you'd have to go back to Barnsley's 3-0 home defeat against Ipswich. Ipswich.
Football editor Joe's had a hip switch.
Ipswich. Yeah, you'd have to go back to that 3-0 defeat last season to find the time that Barnsley went off anywhere close to this price. I just can't work out for the life of me why they're this big. And of course, if you're going to compare, Barnsley actually went off shorter against Ipswich, who have romped up the Championship this season. And I'd just like to ask you two, would you rank this Derby side anywhere near as good as the Tractor Boys team, as the Tractor Boys side?
No, obviously not. No, obviously not.
Jake?
No.
Thank you. Yep. So we're all in agreement. We'll chuck in Barnsley in there.
I like it.
I understand it's a big price, but I just don't know why we'd leave it out because it's too big of a price. I just don't understand. I actually don't understand why it's 4-1. It's drifting, which again is not good at betting terms because Duffman, you told me, forget what you think you know and follow the money. But I can't work it out for the life of me.
I can tell you why, Jim. First off, producer Dom's correct to say we do wish Joe a speedy recovery. He'll be back with us very soon after the international break. But the reason why, and this is something that, when it came about, underlying data expected goals was kind of a little, it was a tool that we had that bookmakers didn't have. Now bookmakers use XG to price matches. And when you look at these two teams' underlying data, you kind of understand why Derby are so heavy favourites, because they are the best home team in the league, according to the underlying data. And Barnsley, while they are, what's that, 7th best away team in the league, they're actually conceding more chances than they're creating on a game-to-game basis when playing away from home. So that alone is enough for me to leave it personally. And I definitely wouldn't put anyone off backing it as a single or maybe taking a draw no bet. But I think for an Acca, and as you said, Derby have played some good teams at home. So to kind of put up that underlying data that's league lead and it's better than Portsmouth, who are running away with the league, that's enough for me to kind of just say I don't really want to put this in an Acca.
I like it a lot. I just think it just doesn't add up as a price for me. In terms of talking about kind of the Asian handicap and where the money is, obviously Derby have been backed, hence why they are the price that they are. But then equally, it's kind of the same as, I mean, you can pick out a few teams who are kind of also at minus 0.5, and yet Burton, Northampton are minus 0.5, yet Burton are 9-4. Barnsley here at 100-30 currently to beat Derby, probably getting 7-2. Prices like that. It just seems far too big to me in what is a game between two good teams. I wouldn't really place Derby at a point where I'd have them being the 3-4 favourites to win this game. But then I am happy to have it as the fourth selection, if that makes sense, to kind of keep it on ice and then come back to it.
I just wouldn't be tying it up with other results. I think there's better teams out there to put in an Acca than a 4-1 away side against a Derby team that could easily turn a corner and flip a switch because they've got the quality to do so. They've got the manager to do so. Barnsley have been super inconsistent this season. Whenever they've played against a good team, they've been beaten, Barnsley. So I've enough. I don't want to go. I don't want it in. I'm not having it in. Sorry. And I know me saying that's going to make you guys want to put it in even more, but it's not going in. So instead, let's throw to Portsmouth at home to Charlton, 3-4, which should be a lot shorter.
I don't know.
Elaborate.
At home, 1-6 drawn to Charlton, are fresh off a draw with the mighty Cray Valley Paper Mills at the weekend. They've won 1 of 6 away all season. And Portsmouth are just unbeaten in the league. Like, you're taking the best team in the league, basically, in Portsmouth against a mid-table team in Charlton. And yeah, Portsmouth got knocked out of the FA Cup at the weekend. I don't see that as a massive negative. I think they'll have wanted to get out of that competition, focus on promotion. So they don't, they've avoided a replay. They've avoided maybe potential extra games after that. I looked at the price 3-4, and I thought they should be 1-2. So I think Portsmouth should be in there. I think that there's that big a gulf between Portsmouth and Charlton, personally. Yeah.
Charlton have had 4 away games under Michael Appleton, all in the league, of which they've only lost 1 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Who have they played though, Tom?
So they beat Wigan, they lost to Lincoln, They drew with Shrewsbury, they drew at Stevenage as well when that was still in September, so he'd not been there long. It's my only thing that they're not losing a great deal of games since the managerial switch, Charlton.
Do Portsmouth win a lot of games though?
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, but I don't know. I could easily see in this being like a 1-1 draw or something. That's my only concern with this game, just because of how Charlton and their results have picked up under Appleton. And I get it was a kind of an appointment that did divide opinion, but fundamentally I think he's a very solid League One manager, as it shows. And they've been gaining results since he's come in.
If you take a look at the games that they've played recently, though, like they played Blackpool team who are half decent, will probably finish in and around the top 6. They were really lucky to get a point in that game. Blackpool 2-0 up, 2 late goals. They beat Reading at home. Reading they've lost every away game, so we can't take much from that. They got hammered away at Lincoln, who were bang average. They got hammered at home by Bolton, who are probably of a similar kind of level to Portsmouth. And then beat a Wigan side who you don't know what you're going to get from them week to week as it is. So I've not seen anything from Charlton to suggest they can go to Portsmouth and get a result. Like if it was away, if Portsmouth were playing at Charlton, then fair enough. But it's at Portsmouth. Like they've won 6 of their 8 at home. Like I think this is an automatic play. And like I think Joe said it a couple of weeks ago, we don't put Portsmouth in enough. They've won 10 of the 15 games this season. They've been in the Acca like twice. I think they should be in more because I think they are the class of this league. Compared to if you think of last year, Ipswich, Plymouth, Wednesday were the class of the league. Portsmouth have shown already that they are the team that are going to be one of the 3 or 4 best teams in this division. And Charlton look like a mid-table side. So like I say, I was expecting a shorter price, which is why I brought it up.
I could maybe be one around because I know Portsmouth are a good team. It's just I don't know. It's just Charlton since the managerial switch. There's a lot of points, a lot of results getting gained there.
And let me just say this for the record: it's got nothing to do with you shitting all over Barnsley. I'm over that. I barely even cried about it. I'm just looking at Portsmouth's form since they battered Gillingham, edged to victory past Carlisle, 0-0 with Cambridge, beat Reading by 1 goal, lost to Chelsea in the cup. Both sides put strong sides out. Beat Leyton Orient by 1 goal. Like, I know you're going to say, yeah, but they won. But like you say, in an Acca, on a short priced favourite, I want a little more guarantee than they might edge to victory. And then you throw in the fact that Charlton, you breezed over the 3-2 against Wigan, but they battered them, and I know they did because I tipped Wigan. They raced into a 3-0 lead and then sat back and invited pressure, and then Wigan got a couple of late goals. But there's just so much uncertainty here. Can Portsmouth blow teams out of the water? I don't know because they haven't been doing it recently.
Portsmouth only need to score 1 goal and they win though, because they barely concede.
Jake, this is Acca bets.
But an Acca bet is not putting a 4-1 outsider away team in, is it? That's a single bet.
I'm driven by price. We all are, and I'm just saying I don't get enough security from this Portsmouth team to justify an 8-11. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty with Charlton because how can you go from like battering Wigan 3-0 and then taking a draw with Cray Valley in the cup? I'm not willing to oppose Charlton. I'm perfectly willing to. I'm already come to terms with the fact that Portsmouth could absolutely annihilate them. But do you not, Duffman? Do you not feel like Charlton? There's just too much uncertainty around them.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is a draw.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that gets to me. That maybe it's because there is a little bit of bias from me that I do quite like Appleton as a League One manager. I think there's a solid base there of a manager who is clearly tactical. In terms of his approach. That I'm not saying not every manager is, but you know what I mean, where there's managers that are clearly focused not so much on the, obviously I don't know him, I don't know what he's like in the training, but it's, the Ange Postecoglou's who are all about building that connectivity and everyone being around thing, and there are managers that are just purely focused on the on-field results, and that's the only thing with me on Charlton that I don't know.
Okay. Can I ask you both a quick question?
Yeah.
So, Michael Appleton, tell me, what kind of style of football does he like to play?
Winning and drawing away at Portsmouth.
No, but like a genuine question, like does he play quite an expansive manner? Is he trying to play front foot football? So I'm just looking at Portsmouth's recent results, and yeah, Jimmy, they've not blown any teams away, but they've played teams that are basically rubbish, that just roll up to Portsmouth and just park the bus. And I'm asking you the question, will Charlton do that? I don't think they will. I think they'll go there and they'll be a little bit more open than your Carlisles and your Port Vales, and I think Portsmouth might find a little bit more joy this weekend than they have done what have been grinds previously, where you are relying on a couple of pieces of brilliance or a couple of nice passages of play to break teams down. I think they might get a bit more space, and this might be a game where they win it a little bit more comfortably and a little bit more in hand, because they've provided coming up against a team that will actually have a little bit of a go at them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I can't see them being part of the bus.
Thanks, mate.
Stevenage.
That's the one. I just can't see. There'll be some element of knowing for a fact that they're playing a better team than they are, but I think the confidence is still fairly high. So they'll be, we're going to make kind of take the initiative a bit in this and try and attack and try and get something going. So yeah,
because the last time that a team went to Portsmouth and actually opened up was Peterborough, and they put 3 past them. So
well, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think Charlton are going to go there and all guns blazing. So
you don't?
No, I don't think so.
Right. Well, my initial question was, how do you reckon he's going to set up? So
I still think
you don't think he's going to go up?
It's tough because in terms of Charlton, we've not seen them play top-end teams, I don't think, on the road under Appleton. I'm just having a quick look at their games now, but I'm sure when they have played... was it Stevenage? I think they've played, maybe got a draw there quite early on. I remember seeing that they did have a lot of the ball in that game. Stevenage are obviously, I know, they've got their own style of playing and stuff like that, but that is another top team. So we've not really seen this Charlton team under him go to a top-end club, because obviously they played Oxford, but that was pre his appointment. So...
Pin it. Has anybody else got anything they want to
add? I will chuck in, actually. I think we can all... Why don't we just take Bolton at 11-10 to beat Blackpool at home? Bigger price.
I've not looked at this game.
Blackpool, 1 league away win, I think, all season. There's been some draws in there. I will caveat with that.
4 draws.
But they're inconsistent, very, very inconsistent at the moment. And this is a Bolton side who wanted them to get goals against Shrewsbury, wanted them to score earlier, but they didn't. But they still won 2-0. It means 6 of the last 7 in the league have been wins. I think this team is, we've spoke about them on this pod before, we've had them on before, nothing too much different to what we've kind of said before. It's still a winning team, it's still a winning mentality. It's 11-10 at home. Blackpool are all right. I won't take that away from them, but I think when you're comparing kind of Portsmouth and Bolton's prices, Portsmouth are a bit of a better team. I won't take that away from them, but I know, again, this is just one that jumps out. We spoke on Cardiff and their home price against Norwich, Stockport, Swindon. This, again, is just another one that I thought, okay, maybe it will go off at odds on, but I thought this would drift into odds on straight away. So, yeah, that would be probably my push on this one, if you can find a happy ground between Barnsley and Portsmouth. Not geographically, but in terms of where we're at, that we could just take Bolton here at 11-10, which I think another home team and one that you could be pretty confident with, given what we've seen from them for probably the last 3 months.
Go on, Jim, you take this one.
Blackpool scare me. They've got a lot of quality, and they'd scare me because I never know what you're gonna get from them.
Yeah, but on the road, they played Fleetwood, Exeter, teams who are in the bottom half now. Charlton, who we spoke about there was the 2-2 draw. I think maybe was that pre-Appleton potentially there as well. Don't know. Just on the road, they've not travelled particularly well. I just think that, again, it's a price-driven selection in a way as well. That I think just Bolton are clearly a better team. They're on a great winning run at the moment. And it just adds some serious juice. I mean, if you added Bolton to the 3 selections, or the 2 selections, say, add them to Stockport and Cardiff, that takes us to just shy of 8-1 ahead of a final selection. It's a big price on this one. I just like it a lot. I just like this one a lot, and I feel more.
No,
I feel more comfortable in this than Portsmouth in a weird way.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from because of the price. It's like, yeah, I'm happy to take a punt on Bolton if they're a juicier price. But like I said about Blackpool, they have got quality with Rhodes and Lavery and Dembele. And you said about the draw at Fleetwood, but before that it was a point at Oxford, a point at Charlton, and they beat Barnsley.
When was that, though?
Away from home, sorry.
Yeah, where?
Going back to September.
A lot changes since then. Since then, it's been what? Obviously beat Bromley in the Cup, Fleetwood. There was a loss at Peterborough, just beat Cheltenham, and then the draw at Oxford as well. So it's a bit closer than maybe it was. But I don't know, it's just, for me, it's Bolton. It's on this side. Usually I look at the kind of the opposition and stuff like that. But Bolton have just been so strong this season. Bar the anomaly result against Carlisle, they've been basically beating everyone in the last couple of months at home.
Yeah, I'm not massively opposed to it. I think the fact that Blackpool have been conceding a lot of goals recently is, it at least makes me a little bit more confident. Like, conceding 3 at Fleetwood, 4 against Peterborough, 2 against Cheltenham, who could barely buy a goal. Yeah, that definitely adds a bit of confidence into looking at taking Bolton to win. And yeah, I mean, I think they've probably gone a bit under the radar. That they are one of the pre-season favourites to win the league, Bolton. And they had a little mini wobble earlier on in the season, but seem to have righted the ship. I know they've not had exactly a tough schedule recently, but come through with flying colours, winning fairly comfortably. And yeah, I think there's more to come from this Bolton team in the long run. I think they will finish in the top 6, just a case of can they get in that top 2. And I don't think they've quite hit the best yet, so I would not be opposed to taking them at odds against.
They're 11-8 Bolton for promotion. Just looking at Sky Bet at the moment, Oxford are obviously even money, but now there's the huge uncertainty on Oxford on what's going to happen to them after Manning's departure. 11-10, you've gone very bright all of a sudden. What has happened there?
Yeah. So let's just put Portsmouth and Bolton in and call it a wrap.
Shake hands. Is this the compromise that we'll reach?
Well, let's take the 2 best teams in League One at home. Why not, against mid-table sides?
I mean, if you just dumb it down to that point, yeah.
Yeah. Unless anyone else has got anything else they wanted to add. Like, the only one I had was Wrexham at home, but they're a shorter price. I
had Colchester to beat Sutton, was my only other one. Since Ben Garner's sacking, Colchester have won 3 of 4. Sutton have lost every single away league game so far this season.
Yeah.
5 of those 7, I think, by 2 goals as well when I was looking. I will appreciate, though, that there still is some uncertainty when you're in that interim period. But Colchester, it's been 3 or 4 wins. They couldn't really have asked for a better reaction to that.
Producer Dom's just put in the chat about Bradford, and that kind of ties in nicely to the interim manager.
Did you say that about Kevin McDonald? Wasn't that
he did.
Manager bounce? This is interesting. I don't. Do you know what? I actually don't hate the idea of, let's just say, Bolton and Portsmouth, because if they are two of the best three teams in the division, and now obviously we don't know what's going to happen to Oxford and where they go at home.
Yeah.
Do we just go fine, shake hands, move on? Jim Rod, any thoughts?
I hate it. Well, Duffman, we've both said we don't like the look of it, taking on Portsmouth at an odds-on price, especially against a Charlton side that you don't know what you're going to get. And then it's pretty much the same thing with Blackpool. I don't know about opposing them, albeit Bolton are a slightly more appetising price. And now we can. But if we're having them both, let's just chuck them in. I don't know about you.
What else? Bring another one to the table then.
I take pride in this podcast, and I'm not just happy to let shit go into it for the sake of a rap.
I like Bolton a lot. I've already said this, so I was more than happy, obviously, to include them.
Well, this only works if you let me have Barnsley in, but I think as far as bankers go, Arsenal at Burnley, 1-5. And I know you're going to laugh, but Arsenal went off shorter than that against Sheffield United. So there's literally juice in that price there. Duffman, you coined the phrase
at 1-7.
Acca worthy. You said the other week. And if you'd let me get a chunkier price in there, then you can have teams like this in. And I'm not just putting them in for the sake of it. There's juice in that price because they went off short against Sheffield United. Again, they won 5-0. So
would it not be sickening though to have the 1-6 shot be the one that screws this?
It won't happen. You know how I feel about Burnley.
George, clip that up just in case Arsenal lose at home to Burnley.
Not going to happen.
I can just never see us putting a 1-6 shot in that.
Yeah, we're not going to put a 1-6 shot in. No. Have you got any other selections, Jim, other than the 4-1 Barnsley?
No, those are all my teams.
I like Barnsley. I just love the idea of putting Barnsley in to beat Derby.
I'll be backing them and I'll be tipping them as a single, but I just think as an Acca booster, it just makes so much sense. And if I'm glad we've got the opportunity to talk about Barnsley again because I can talk about them all day long. Jake, you talk about data away from home when it comes to Barnsley, which is great, but context is key because first goal they scored inside 7 minutes against Bristol Rovers away from home, scored inside 25 minutes against Wigan, Cheltenham, won 2-0. Goals come in the second half, but early in the second half, Northampton 2-1. They scored inside 4 minutes. I can go on. Cambridge, Exeter, they scored the first goals in that game. The only game they didn't score first in away from home was Leyton Orient. So all your data, as good as it is, it's skewed by the fact that they've scored the first goals in all these games, and it just changes the dynamic of it entirely. I just can't understand for the life of me how everyone's not as excited about the best away side in the league at 4-1.
I'm excited. I'm with you, Jim Rod. Don't worry about that.
Come on!
Could we reach a diplomatic compromise here that if we take Portsmouth, we can also take Barnsley?
I mean, I'll do that.
Everyone gets one that they want. And
you clever fucker.
Yeah, to quote a very bad man. If you sell your Porsche, you can, get involved and give us a suggestion. This feels. Otherwise, we'll be here arguing. If you put one team in, frankly, I like the Barnsley. I just think the price is just silly. I thought
put Bolton in, and then the Acca freeze comes into play because you've got 5 selections, and then you could freeze Barnsley when they score early, like Jim Rod's promised.
Well, we could have that as a separate one, but in terms of the boosted price, because we can put them all on a link, and then obviously if you're back in, say, the 6-7 that we discuss, then you can, chuck it on and freeze the Barnsley one as soon as they go ahead. I
don't know if we can Acca a 4-1 bet.
Of course you can.
Why? Who says no?
So. Of course you can.
Well, we've got 2 really strong home teams in League One, and you want to go for a 4-1 away team against the pre-season favourites to win the title.
Yeah, but the pre-season favourites, they were always wrong to be the pre-season favourites. You ask Derby fans, they wouldn't have.
Yeah, they probably were, but still, I think it's a risk that's not worth taking, personally.
Oscar, if I may just get a word in edgeways here, if I may.
No, you can't, Jim Rod. Sorry, bud. Let's move on.
It's not in data charts. This is from the expected passions category. The fact is, Derby fans they're watching the one that got away do really well in the league above, aren't they? They're not happy with one. They're not happy, and it is very remnant of his start at Rotherham in a slow first half of the season. Then he kicked on and never looked back when he was at the Millers. But you can't. You've got to look at the fact that the home fans, they're not having him, and they've got to watch Rossini do well at Hull. So they're not best pleased with him at the minute. And you've got a team in Barnsley, the best away in the division, may I remind you, and they've got a habit of scoring first on the road. So they get an early goal, all turns sour, and they can kick on from there.
I'd more than happily have it. I've said this already.
I'm just having a quick look at who Barnsley have played away because she's banging on about the results. They've not played a team in the top half yet away from home, Barnsley. Best home record in the league. They've not played anyone that's above them in the league.
Yeah, they've been better than everyone, though.
Context is king, Jim.
Wigan,
It's,
they played Wigan.
Yeah,
They played Bristol Rovers, Cambridge, Leyton Orient, Wigan, Northampton, Cheltenham. Like, that's just the easiest run of schedule you're ever going to get away from home in League One. Like, not played Portsmouth, Oxford, Bolton, Peterborough, Stevenage, Derby, Blackpool, Lincoln. Any one of the top 10, top 11. So, absolutely not. Barnsley are not going in. Sorry.
It doesn't matter. They can only beat what's in front of them, and they've beat what's...
I know, but this is the first big challenge against a half-decent team. And when they've played a good team at home, what's happened?
And
they've been beaten.
Derby have only beaten bad teams at home.
Have they?
Exeter,
Yeah.
Get Derby's up them.
Carlisle.
Yeah, I said it in my original thing. I'll see you.
But the point is, Barnsley is for me is just opposing Barnsley. Like, I don't think they can go in. I don't trust them enough to go in. Not tied in with other results. When, like I said, we've got the two best teams in League One at home against mid-table teams that they should be beating. Like it's just does not worth the risk for me taking that Barnsley price.
But it counters that Derby drew Portsmouth okay, but they lost to Oxford, drawn with Cambridge, lost at home to Wigan, and then again the only three teams they've beaten at home are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 3 of the bottom 7.
But I'm not taking Derby to win though, am I?
But that's what I mean.
I don't think Barnsley
That's
will
what I
win.
mean. They're against anyone who's not in the bottom 7. And I think it is just knowing what the situation like is at Derby with the questions about Paul Ward and the such, and the talk of was he going to go? No, it turns out he isn't. They're actually committed the other way, haven't they? And said, no, we're going to back him in January. This is it. We need to make a decision here because we've gone on forever. I'd happily have the diplomatic. You can have Portsmouth, you can have Barnsley, shake hands, and it'd be the biggest price one of the season by far, and it's one that I could easily see happening.
I don't like Barnsley.
I'm mature enough to let Portsmouth in. If Jake can be mature enough to let Barnsley in, then.
There's no mature about it. We're trying to create a winning accurate. We can't be throwing Barnsley in who've not played against a team away from home that's in the top half.
The only other one then is Bolton. That's the only other one that realistically is the one that if you want an Acca that you can sit and say, yeah, okay, I'm a bit more confident in that. Bolton are the only real value one in terms of home teams. Because like I said, the only other ones that we really brought to the table there, it's not a great slate in terms of home teams. So in League 2 alone, only 3 of the home teams are odds on to win games. This is the slate that we're dealing with. League 1, again, it's a little bit better. Peterborough, the early kickoff against Cambridge. Again, then you're floating to odds against Portsmouth for one of them. Derby, Barnsley, that we've just been discussing there, are the only other odds on home team at 3 p.m. Championship, it's, again, Leeds 1-4 against Plymouth.
Yeah. You got Hull at home to Huddersfield.
Yeah, draw too many
games. Win enough games.
Draw too many games, Hull. I think if we didn't want Barnsley, we're going to have to just accept Bolton as the other value one, which, again, is one I really like, so obviously I will push for it. But, yeah, we need to make a decision here.
So if we could do like a Barnsley double chance, I would obviously happily put that in the Acca, but the fact that we're only going straight wins, I just don't. I need to see Barnsley play away at a team that's expected to be top 6, top 8 before I can jump on the best away record in the league.
Why don't we make the 4 that, and we will include Barnsley in the long list then? Because I talk about freezing it and stuff like that. We always put it up. We can chuck it in with the Colchester shout that we mentioned there that I quite like the look of. You know, we can look at the other ones that we've talked about, put them in as well. There's your long list to freeze if you're worried about that in Barnsley. And the actual Acca itself will take Portsmouth. We take Bolton to join the other 2 that we already have.
Yeah, and listen, if Barnsley win next week, we'll have had a nice single on site because I'm sure Barnsley will be in a best bet. And if Portsmouth or Blackpool let it down, then Jim Rod can point a finger and laugh at one of us. So
Yeah, but it's a team effort, Jake, isn't it?
I
I'd
know.
never do that. Whatever goes in, I'd live and die by it. It's a shame if we're edging towards no Barnsley, but that's your guys' losses. I'm happy to get on the alternative at this point.
Stockport, Cardiff, Portsmouth and Bolton as a fourfold is just shy of 14.5 to 1.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Rod
It's a
seems
big
convinced
price.
by yeah. That's a decent price, that is, again, 3 home teams and an away team that look overpriced. But 3 home teams, you can go, yeah, fairly confident in them to do it.
What price is it if you put Barnsley on top of it?
Barnsley on top of that is 57 to 1. It's biggie, isn't it?
I think that's the good
The
one to
long
use with
list.
the Acca freeze. Yeah, because everything Jim said there about how early Barnsley score, that's one that if you bang it in a fivefold, they score early, you freeze that game straight away and you don't have to worry about the
We'll put the 5
4 to
on
1.
site then. Once we push
Yeah.
the actual 4, we'll put the 5, and then you can Acca freeze that when you're back. If you
I think that's a
five.
great shout. I think that might be the best place to use the Acca freeze, the best
Is
place
this
to
the
play Barnsley.
diplomatic ending to this? Are we happy? After a lot of flapping around, it seems that the 2 home teams we'll take Bolton to beat Blackpool, we'll take Portsmouth to beat Charlton. Yes?
Yes.
We've kind of merged 2 sections together there, so I will recap the Acca very shortly, but my quiz question has only had 1 clue so far, and I want an answer, so I'm just going to have to give you all the clues, and we're just going to have to do it all in one go here. The question I asked you in this episode was who has scored the most goals in the Europa League / UEFA Cup, including qualifying. I gave you he played 104 times for his country, scoring 37 goals. I think he played for 7 clubs in his career, but he only ever scored 1 Premier League goal.
Wow.
Do you think we're any closer, or do you want one more?
Jim put a decent guess up. What was yours, Jim?
Yeah, I said Diego Forlan.
I think that's a good shout.
No,
Did he score more than 1 Prem? Must have scored more than 1 Prem.
not Diego Forlan. This one could give it away, though. Most prolific during his spell in Scotland. I think it was 141 goals, 50 assists in 176 Scottish Premiership games.
I've got it.
El Buffalo.
He also has 19 goals on his CV for Barcelona, I believe.
Oh.
El Buffalo, it's not quite that.
I've got
Final
it.
clue I'll give you if you can't quite get it. He's played in the Premier League, as we say there, La Liga and Eredivisie as well. Jake Osgathorpe, give us the answer to who has scored the most goals in the Europa League / UEFA Cup.
I believe it's Henrik Larsson.
It is Henrik Larsson, 40 goals for Feyenoord, Celtic and Helsingborg. Diego Forlan didn't make the list in terms of the top one. Jake's earlier guess of Klaas-Jan Huntelaar, second, 34, for Heerenveen, Ajax and Schalke. Dom, our producer, was getting involved. He said Radamel Falcao, who's actually the all-time Europa League top scorer. So there's your fun fact there on 31. So there's the quiz question for this week. Henrik Larsson, the answer to this one. It's a bit less interactive, I feel, when we're not in the studio together. But I'm glad that we managed to get an answer to it. And I'm also glad that we finally managed to get an answer to this week's Acca after so much backing and forth. Yes, no's, disagreements and the such. This week's Acca is as follows. In the Sky Bet Championship, we are taking Cardiff to beat Norwich. In Sky Bet League 1, it's Portsmouth to beat Charlton and Bolton to beat Blackpool. And then in League 2, it's Stockport for an away win at Swindon. Pre-boost this accumulator, the fourfold, coming out at 14.5 to 1. For Jim Rod's sake, don't forget about Barnsley beating Derby as well. We will have all of that on site. Remember, though, keep it fun. Never bet more than you can afford. And please gamble responsibly. Now, as ever, we're going to ask you to get in touch with us on social media. Let us know what you think, which side you're on. Derby, draw, Barnsley. Are you just avoiding it whatsoever? Or search Sporting Life Football. You'll be able to find us that way. Head over to sportinglife.com/football to find the link to back our Acca at an enhanced price. And if you haven't already, please follow and rate us on iTunes, Spotify, or the cliched chosen podcast provider. We will be back next week.